Hello everyone, welcome to the last two chapters in 3 Magic Words. We're covering Immortality tonight and the chapter on the key, which are two of my favourite chapters. And I'm going to start by reading and explaining as I go along. Okay guys? So, the immortal self, one mind, one spirit, one soul pervades the entire universe, and its purpose is to know itself. That's why God came down into form and came up against everything it is not. So we know that the energy called God is the energy of love. And even in the science terms of the Big Bang Theory, when the universe exploded or imploded on itself. And they say that the Big Bang Theory is the universe exploded out into bits. And now science is saying it's gravitating back, okay? In spiritual text we read, in any religion or any spiritual text, says that God, the energy known as love, came down into form, into its opposite of that which it is. So the energy or the emotional energy or the mental, spiritual, emotional energy that is opposite to love is, and light, is fear and darkness. So God, in order to know itself, has to hit some kind of contrast. And that's like all of us, you know, we know hot from cold, you know, we know high from low, we know, you know, the ecstasy of love from the pain of rejection, but we know from contrast what something is. And we have become the energy into form, God. We have manifested into this form to feel what it is to be opposite that which we are. And we are traveling through incarnations, lifetimes and lifetimes of coming to awakening of that which we already are. Because God is perfect. That energy known as God, as love, is actually perfect. But once it comes into this incarnation, into this form, into this limited form, it forgets that which it is. It has to let go of all of that. And it has to learn it from the experience of not knowing itself. So it's going to go into what it's not in order to come to what it is. So this here starts by saying one mind, one spirit, one soul pervades the entire universe. The mind of God, the mind of love and light. And its purpose here in this universe, in this form, is to know itself. It is primal stuff, first cause of all things, and is engaged in a work of expanding consciousness. In other words, it's forever trying to wake up, come to know its own truth through all its experiences and lifetimes. Neither space nor time exists in it. It is eternal, for it is infinite and eternal. Does not, and nor does it adhere to any form, for it is all form. It is becoming all things. When it says it is all form, what this book is trying to explain to us is there is only one intelligence. Do you get that? The intelligence that is in you, in you, in you, in you, everyone in this universe, inside everything that doesn't move, it contains intelligence, awareness, but it can't think and it doesn't move. It still contains and has inherent in it the awareness, the inherent being known as God energy is inside it. Therefore, each of us has exactly the same intelligence, no different. But we are at different levels of awakening to that intelligence because we have chosen to go out on this mission to know ourselves, because we are one. So the Big Bang Theory, that explosion of the universe and all its parts out there, is God, that one infinite energy known as God, love, light, coming to know itself through the experience of what it's not. Okay? So here it says, neither space nor time exists in it, for it is infinite and eternal, nor does it adhere to any form, for it is all form. Right? So you can't say I'm this form and I'm not that form. It is inside of every form. It is becoming things. It becomes all things, and each form it creates is an expression of its knowledge of itself. Do you get that? Every time it has an experience, it says, wow, I am this and I'm not that. I learned that in that experience. Okay? So it is eternal now, which is in all times, past, present, and future. It is one place which is all places and any place. It is invisible, it is spirit, it is intelligence, it is mind, it is God, it is light, incarnating into form. It becomes that form. And when the form dissolves and disappears, the spirit again becomes universal. It is this in man which is immortal. Not the body, not the ego, not the personality, but the self. He who attains to awareness, waking up of the self while in your life, attains to true power. When you wake up in your life and you know you are this energy known as God. This is why I want to talk to you guys about what is going on in the world with the coronavirus that we're hearing around the world, and what people are posting everywhere, all this fearful, do this, don't do that, you know, stay away, stay home, do this, do that. Look, take your precautions, but stop posting fearful stuff, because we are God. We are the energy of God. And if in your mind and your emotional heart, you hold all these fearful things, you're God, your creator. You will create them. And this is part and parcel of what is going on in the world. We mustn't attain to fear. This is a massive opportunity for us who know the truth, for us who have awakened and know who we are. This is a grand opportunity. You see something fearful, send a message to that person that sent it to you. Send them a positive thing to listen to. Something that also lets them understand not to be fearful, why a message that they're sending like that could be more harmful than of any benefit to the world. And then, that's your duty, okay, to teach that which you are. Put positive, something positive out there, okay? I had an experience today where we went to get a coffee and in Queen Street, and so we have to order our coffee and go stand outside. So we walked there, and I was a little bit tired, so I sat on the step, and there was no one around. Then all of a sudden, a lady and a man came along, and I was sending messages to everyone and sitting there, and I noticed them coming, and the thought did cross my mind, should I get up and move away from the step? Because it's a step into the cafe. But then I didn't get up. I thought, it'll be okay, they're just going to, I'm right over here, they're going to pass me and go in the shop. But as the man went in and as the woman went in, she looked at me and she said, you shouldn't be sitting on the step. And she walked in. I didn't answer her immediately. I didn't react because I know that when we react, it's usually spurred on and prompted and triggered, and it won't be good. And you end up harming. So I sat there, and Daniela answered her, said something to her. Something minor, like, you know, like she's not anywhere near you or something like that. I don't know. It was nothing too bad, but she said something. And then Daniela said to me, what is going on with people? People they become the police. Like they're taking it, and it's because people are posting, don't do this, this is the rules, blah, blah, blah. And people are like so full of fear. So I thought about it for a while, and then I thought, I can't leave it at that. So I went inside and I said to the lady, I just want to say to you that something like, try not to let fear overcome you. Something like that. Yeah, don't let fear, that's right. The guy goes to me, can I help you? Because I'd already got my coffee and I came back in and I was right up next to her. I went right up to her. And he goes, can I help you? Like, you're not allowed to. You have to send 1.5. They've got crosses on the floor. And I'm there, no, it's okay. I'm here to talk to this lady. And he thought that I must know her. And I said, excuse me, darling. She turned around and she looked at me like, here it comes. And I said, I just wanted to say to you, don't let fear overcome you. That's all. And I left. And Danielle goes, what did you say to her? I heard you saying something about fear. And I said, yeah, that's what I said. She goes, oh, you should have given her a peace of her mind. And I said, no, that's a peace of mind. That is the right thing to do, you know. And it's interesting because someone had sent me the video that I sent to you guys. But I'd only just started to listen to it when we had to go on the walk. And then they were talking on the walk, so I didn't listen to it. And in it, he's talking a lot about what's going on. And he didn't get to the part about fear yet. He's talking about what I predicted back in 2015. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, I've got to send this to everyone. Then we went for a walk. When we got back, I listened to a bit more and it came to the part where it says, all these that we're sending out is putting fear. And I thought, wow. I took the time to just not to react. And I got that message to say those words to her. Isn't it interesting? Because you are God. I am is who we are. All right, guys? So, it is this in man which is immortal, not the body, not the ego, not the personality, but the self. He who attains to awareness, to waking up of the self in life, in your life and now, attains to true power. This is from the Upanishads. The one self within all beings becomes different according to what it enters, according to what it knows, and exists also without. Self is universal subconscious mind, which is infinite. All of it exists within each of us, and all of it exists without. For infinity is absolute unity and cannot be divided. Do you get that, guys? God cannot be divided. Therefore, we are equal. God. We are the I am. Do you understand? When you know you're the I am, you've got to step into now your supernatural powers. Do you understand? This is an opportunity. What is going on in life here, if they're forced vaccinations or whatever they want to do, so be it. That vaccination is not going to affect you. Do you understand? Because you know who you are, right? This is your supernatural power. And you will do incredible miracles. Do you understand? Because this is who I am, right? And we will create from that. This is our opportunity to step up and be miracle makers, which this is our right. This is our inherent right. This is our quality. So, it is this that Jesus meant when he said, the Father in me. How many times have you heard it on the Gospel of John? The Father in me and me in the Father. Right? Isn't it beautiful? I'm telling you the truth. Isn't it beautiful? Oh, I love that movie. So the Father in me and I in the Father, this is what Jesus meant. Therefore, if we would perceive our true immortality, we must perceive the timeless being that exists at the center of our consciousness, the I am. Everlasting life is not given to some and taken from others, for we are all one in reality, even those who are not behaving that way. To him who is held firm in the bonds of the ego, right? Evil, the veil will yet be lifted. When the physical body dies and the ego ceases its delusion, then he shall know as he is known. He shall see self in self. He shall perceive in an instant the vast reaches of infinity. But a degree of this power and perception can be ours in this life if we can only forsake the ego and take onto ourselves the mantle of God. Every moment is an opportunity, guys. So it is. Today, when I went to the cafe, an opportunity to be that which I am and don't harm who? Myself. Myself. You get it? So it is that a man must first be meek and humble before he can enter the kingdom of heaven. Where is the kingdom of heaven? It's within. It's within. So it is that a man must first be meek and humble before he can enter the kingdom of heaven, before he can become fused with the immortal self, God, within him. Sometimes he comes to it through great suffering, sometimes through despair, sometimes through pain, but always the ego is reduced, humbled, cut at the knees to nothingness before the portal swings open. And the ego does not surrender lightly. This posturing little elf with its blind delusions would have us believe it is our true self. And when we attempt to cast it aside, we feel its struggles in the very depths of our souls. So great is its resistance that men mortify the flesh, practice celibacy, abstain from all sensual pleasure in an attempt to ignore the evidence of the senses so that the ego might leave and the center of consciousness be revealed. Isn't it true? The monks go to the top of the mountain and live there for years and years, isolated, hoping that not being in society, they can find their true self, you know. But I can tell you now, amongst the noise of life, you must know yourself. Because if you can't, you won't know yourself at the top of that mountain either. Because the minute you come back into this, you'll be tested. Run away. Said Jesus, unless a man be born again, he shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. Seek the death of the ego. You saw that part on the Gospel of John with Jesus when one of the Pharisees, the Jewish Pharisees, went to speak to him and said, you are truly, the king. You are the Messiah. You have done these miracles, but he went in secret to see him because he was scared, that would, he would be cast out of his religion. So he went to talk to Jesus, and Jesus said, unless ye be born again, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. Where is the kingdom of heaven, guys? The kingdom of heaven is within. And so this Pharisee said to him, but I was born of my mother and father. How can I re-enter my mother's womb and be born again? How can a man do that? And Jesus said, you are born again of the Spirit. Do you understand? In other words, when you're born again, or you're born into the kingdom of heaven, which is within you, you're not born, you not go back into your mother's womb and get born again like the Pharisee asked. Jesus said to him, you are born again of the Spirit in your mind and heart. So you take on the Spirit of God. And that's when you know the Father is in me and I am in the Father. You become one God, unified. Do you understand? Seek the death of the ego and be born anew in the knowledge of the self, God. It is the self that is immortal. It is the self, the universal mind, God, which we truly are. All men have everlasting life. And it is not a question of whether we shall live again, but the insistent and glorious fact is that our real self shall never die, just as they are never born. It just always is. The Spirit is birthless and deathless and changeless. So, sprung from the everlasting self into life, there is inside each child the remembrance of the God mind. But as our ego develops and we grow into adulthood, he attains a memory of sensory experience and the conscious mind begins to grow. And the memory of the God becomes dimmer and dimmer. Remember we talked about the lock in chapter 1? The lock forms where we no longer remember who we are. And based on our past life where we left off, and we only had that much awareness where we left off of who we truly are as a God energy, we had to come back, reincarnate, choose parents that would prepare us to become the adult we left off in the past life, to that awareness. So I know people say, oh, there's eternity, and I reincarnate. I've got eternity to work out my God's. No, we have no time to waste, guys. You do not want to waste this lifetime. We need to be conscious of who we are, and now there's an opportunity to practice it. There's an opportunity that we all practice as we go to sleep tonight, that the coronavirus is done, finished. That we hear the words that the coronavirus is not killing anyone, there's nothing to fear, and everything is cured and everything is good, and we intervene and we disrupt the plans, the ego's plans for the world. We disrupt them because we can. I don't need, or we don't need, a percentage of the global numbers. We don't need that. One mind. we are one mind. So when that one mind knows it's one mind, when Jesus rose Lazarus and many people he rose from the dead, he didn't call on everyone to help meditate around the world to make a change. No. He knelt down and he prayed in front of the gravesite, and he said to God, to the Father, Father, I pray to you to ask for help here. They're not his exact words, but I pray to you. So I know that you are in me and I am in you. I know that you give me everything I ask. I know that. He says this in the Gospel of John. But I do this so that the people may believe in you. So he knelt to pray to the Father, to God. We already knew he was the Father. Whatever he called Lazarus up, he was God calling Lazarus out. He didn't need to kneel and talk like he was talking to somebody out there. But he did it so they would believe, right? So we have an opportunity. We do not need anybody to cause the miracle of collapsing the coronavirus. It is powerless. And if that's powerless, everybody can resume work. The world can go back to where it was. There we go. So we've locked up who we are when we came back into form. So it was that Jesus said, unless ye become as little children, ye shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. So we have to be humble. Do you understand? Children are humble. Children have humility. They're humble. Their ego minds haven't been conditioned. So they're humble. So Jesus says, unless you become as little children, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. You can't find me. I'm here with you. You can't find me because you're too busy controlling your world. You're too busy trying to get here, trying to get this, trying to attain that. You're not like little children, humble and simple. And you can't see me. You can't find me. Do you understand? So this is why Jesus said this. That which is God was never born and never ever shall die. It is the very being of each of us. One soul, one mind, one life is in everyone. There is no difference between your neighbour and yourself except that quality of the ego, of the conscious mind. The difference you perceive is a difference brought about through thought. For your neighbour is a product of every thought he has ever had, even as you are. Since it is impossible for two reactive thoughts, there never has been nor will there ever be two identical humans, short of union with God. So once you know who you are, you're one. So do you get that? Since it is impossible for two reactive ego beings ever to have the exact same kind and sequence of thought, there never has been nor will there ever be two identical humans, because their egos are different, short of union with God. Once two humans look at us, we are one. We know we're one because we've united with God. Do you understand that? So what they're saying is, we humans, all humans are different because of their ego, short of them knowing their God self. The minute they know their God self, they're one. Right? So, and union with God is achieved by all when the worn house of the ego body is laid aside at last. It may be achieved in life while we're alive, guys, only when the individual ceases to think in response to the stimuli of the senses, the ego needs and wants, and originates its thought at the center of consciousness. And the center of your consciousness is God, is love. Then, free of the bondage of the flesh, he achieves power and control over all circumstances of his life. Can I pause that for a minute? Because I strained my throat. Okay, so your body is not you. If it were and your leg were amputated, part of your consciousness would be lost. With your leg, neither are you simply brain. If you were only brain, then the rest of the physical body could be stripped away and the brain will continue to live. Actually, the brain itself does not even think. Some invisible thinker merely uses the brain as a central reception station for sensory perception. Someone, something is dwelling inside your body, peering through the windows of your eyes, listening at the portals of your ears, using your brain to receive the impressions. Invisible, it is hidden, gowned with your particular form, but an instant in the eternity of its being. It uses your body as an idea. Then it discards it and departs to whence it came. This is the immortal self, God. And we have to make the most of this opportunity here on earth, okay? We have to wake up. We have to know this truth and every day talk to the Father within you. So you say, I know the Father, you are in me and I am in you. I know I am God. What would you have me do? What would you have me say? Where would you have me go? Let me be a light for you. Use me as a channel to bring glory to you. As is said in the Gospel of John, Jesus said, bring glory unto you, Father, and bring glory unto me so that people will believe that I am in you and you are in me, right? We have to think like this, guys, in this lifetime. This is true awakening. People want to know, and this is, you know, when people say, oh, I'm going to do this course or I'm reading this book because I'm trying to find out what my purpose is in life. People do that, they say that, and there's courses to help you understand your purpose. We are on purpose from the second we enter this life because God came into form to know itself. That is our purpose. So when we're aware that as we're experiencing things in life and we're coming more and more to a spiritual awakening, you know, I know I want to know more. I believe I know who I am. I want to know more. This is your purpose. Our purpose is to understand and to know fully that which we are. When we know that which we are, guess what? We'll do that which we are does. Right? As Jesus walked the earth and preached the truth and died for his people, we will do what that which we are does. It's automatic. You don't have to seek, what am I going to do? What's my purpose? We just need to wake up to that which we are. Then that which we are automatically does that which it is. And what it does is love. It brings love. It brings light. It brings healing wherever through its awareness of that which it is. For example, if you study to become a doctor, do you think you would go and dig ditches after becoming a doctor or drive a truck? Do you think if you study to become a doctor and get a degree to become a doctor, most likely you will be a doctor and go and work as a doctor? If you learn hairdressing, you probably will not go and work in a checkout in a supermarket. You will probably become a hairdresser because you're saying, I am a hairdresser. Do you understand? I'm trying to make the analogy. When all you have to do is know who you are. When you say, I am God, you will go and do as God does. Right? You've qualified. And you will perform the most amazing miracles because that's who you are. And the world is calling for us. It needs us. So, people want to know where they will go when they die, and the answer to that question is they will go everywhere, for they don't truly go. They simply expand self-awareness, freed from the limitations of the body, becomes the universal God, the consciousness of all time, of all space, of all form. Since self, God, is free of all limitation and multiplicity, it leaves behind personality and ego and conscious memory, which became immersed like the tiniest drop of water in an infinite sea. Ego goes, illumination goes, and limitation goes, and illumination appears. The inconceivability of the small I is replaced by the great I of infinity. Only the Brahmas felt that true existence was unity with the God mind, but even they felt that a man must consciously come to this illumination. So he must consciously awaken, right? Holding that he would go through successive reincarnations on earth until he attained the awareness of God. No religion's teaching has ever surpassed the enlightenment of the Hindus with their Veda and Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads, but even they could not forsake the illusory and transitory ego altogether, and thus were led into believing that individual men went through successive reincarnations before attaining to Brahma, what they call God, Brahma. It is immortal self, God, which is incarnating in search of its self-knowledge, and only when knowledge of self is complete will reincarnation cease. The real you, the immortal self, the God self, will reincarnate to be sure, short of its attaining to complete self-knowledge of itself. But the transitory you, the little built-up thought habits and memories of your conscious mind, will incarnate no more, for it is only illusion, just a tiny instant in the eternity of evolution, whose very purpose is change. Ego will neither reincarnate nor persist after death. It is not the real you. So it's saying here, once we have reincarnated and worn out the ego, stripped it away through all the incarnations, the ego doesn't exist anymore. It's finished. It's illusory. It's a built-up thought patterns come from fear. And so if we can overcome fear, this is an opportunity, what's going on in the world. It's an opportunity. You know, people say, oh, you're taking chances and risks. Hey, I know who I am. And even should I have the virus, I will overcome it because I know I'm God. And I am, says, I am overcome the virus. And that's you have that God mind that can create miracles. And you are now allowed to step up because the world, in it, the fearful, evil world that is dictating terms, is saying, here's your test. So now we have the opportunity to step up and overcome fear, overcome the illusion of this virus, overcome the illusion of the world going into recession. That's not our creation. And that is not the creation for the world. We know the world doesn't want that. So I am changes that. We don't create that. And the way to do it is to know it. That's why faith is so important, you know. That's why faith, I always knew that word faith meant something powerful. You know, it's not faith in religion as such, as religion would teach you about faith. It's more about faith in who I am and faith in the I am. And therefore, when you hold the vision of the world that you declare, when you declare it, when you speak it, you declare it, you build the vision of it, and you feel it, it is done. No more thinking. It is done. It's only the ego that will double check, right? Remember, we've read in the chapter on attraction, don't go checking the pot to see if the water's boiled. You know, you've got to believe, you've got to trust. So in other words, you do it, you know it, you let go, and you see only that outcome. Every time if it pops in your mind, oh, you feel it, see it again. Blow beautiful breath of creation into it and then let it go. Okay? So it is not the real you, it is the scarcely even a microscopic part of the real you that will leave after death. Okay? Every incarnation is a reincarnation, right? So every incarnation is a reincarnation of what energy? Christ. It's Christ. And Christ said, I and the Father are one. The Father is in me and I am in the Father. When you know that, you have taken on the mantle of God. Right? And that's what you're here for. To awaken to the fact that I am God. I am God. All day long I want you to say, I am God. You just say it all the time, I am God. Right? I am God. Every child born is a reincarnation for only one self, Christ, God, into each body and looks out of all eyes and is conscious. Each of us is a reincarnation of every person who has preceded us. The first of that has preceded us and the great of that. Okay? That is us. And those that are doing the harm in the world, that is us. And without them, we wouldn't know how great we are. Because we need that contrast. Okay? And when people say, I have to say this, why has God abandoned us? Why is this going on in the world? This is what I'm hearing because I talk a lot about God, so people say this to me. Why has God abandoned us? Why would God let children go through this? Why would this be happening to us? Blah, blah, blah. Wake up, guys. We are the I am. Guess who's created this hell? It's us. And you know what? I just bang straight between their eyes, give it to them. This is the truth. And they just like go into shock. And I say, we did this. We are the I am. We are the God that you are complaining that has done this, and why is that? You took into yourself. And yes, we've been puppets of the powers that be that have driven us down this path. Well, we take responsibility to wake up. That's what we're here for. That's our duty. Come and do my class. That's, because we must wake up. Each of us is a reincarnation of every person who has ever preceded us. And not because we are the I am. And the knowledge of all that has preceded us lies within us, in the universal subconscious mind, the God mind, which has been all things and all people and all events and will be forevermore. Immortality is not something to be won by good conduct, nor will good conduct send certain souls to heaven, nor bad conduct send others to hell. Only oneself manifests throughout the universe, and it neither punishes itself nor rewards itself. It is eternal, and though it becomes a billion mortal things, its eternity is not touched. It passes into and out of myriad forms, but always remains one. Obviously, it neither sends itself to heaven nor sends itself to hell, for nothing exists outside of itself. The only heaven, hell, and in between is here. When we cross over, we just wake up, go, wow, remember what this game is all about, right? Have no fear of hell. There is no such thing. There is only heaven consciousness of the immortal self God, which each of us shall eventually attain. Whether it comes to us in this lifetime or not, that is the path. So the immortality of all men was obvious to Jesus. He was primarily concerned because they did not know how to live. The very guilts and limitations by which Jesus besought us to become free of have been adopted as dogma by many facets of society, and they have thrown mankind into deeper bondage than ever before. We must come to realize that God is kind and just and loving and is inside each one of us, and there the kingdom of heaven, and there is no punishment in the hereafter, and every soul is saved because we're all on the same mission. The sent and the sender are one. God sent himself. We are that which was sent, the I am, God. And we sent ourselves. That's it. This is a game played by one energy. All right? That's created the possibility of discovering that which it is. It created that which it is not to a great extreme. We need not fear God. We need only love God. We need only supplicate for forgiveness before. We need not supplicate for forgiveness before an altar. For God's altar is our very self. We are with him night and day. Religions and temples are built by man, but God's temple is a man. Kingdom of heaven is within. And wherever we are always in a place of worship. We need only turn within to the self, to the I am that dwells within. And that's where I'm going to end immortality, the chapter on immortality. And I was just saying, Pearlie, that the sent, us reincarnating, and the sender are one. We sent ourselves into this. We need to wake up and not be frightened. We wake up and don't be frightened, it'll go away. It'll go away. Trust me. So the key is only 4 little pages. Isn't that amazing? Every chapter is like 30 odd pages with the key. 3 magic words are only 4 little pages, and I'm going to read this. So, the veil now removed, that which from self made each mortal, self unto each mortal must be. Thus the key that unlocks the portal to God is thyself. You are He. You are God. This is the ineffable secret, the ultimate illumination, the key to peace and power and plenty. You are God. You are the I am. If you will accept this towering truth, dare to stand atop this magnificent pinnacle, universal consciousness, the I am, will be revealed to you from within. The kingdom of heaven is within you. God is there inside of you. It is this energy, this loving energy that peers from behind your eyes, who is your own consciousness, who is your very self. You are not just a part of God. You are altogether God. I am. And God is altogether you. As Jesus said, the Father is in me and I am in the Father. The Upanishads, the personal self and the ultimate imperishable impersonal self are one. The Vedanta, not a part, not a mode of that, but identically that absolute spirit of the world. And Jesus, who hath seen me, has seen the Father. God is the universal mind, the intelligence that pervades all times and places, the design and the order and the consciousness of all things, of all beings. God becomes things. He became all things. He has become you. God is not your body, not your ego, but your sense of being, your I am. There is only one I am in the entire universe. The same sense of self is in everyone and in everything. It appears to be different in life because it clothes itself differently in different forms. These forms wither and they decay, but the self is always one and indivisible and changeless and infinite and perfect. Every person that lives, every person that ever will live, every creature, everything upon this earth are all one in spirit. All are God. And each is altogether God. Each of us is altogether God because infinite intelligence cannot divide itself. It makes a seeming division in the flesh and in things, but never, ever, ever in the spirit. For infinity is always one and indivisible. God manifests completely within each thing and within each person. And each thing is a manifestation of God's knowledge of himself. Your consciousness is God's consciousness. Your idea of yourself is God's idea of himself. The ideas that you choose to accept are automatically manifested in your world, for you are God. For what God knows, he must create. And what you know is created for you are God. Do you get that, guys? So when we say, I am this, because I am not that. In other words, we see ourselves unhappy with the way we look, unhappy with the way our weight or our look or whatever, or our education or our money. The minute we say that, I am, it must manifest. We are God. We are the I am. We are so powerful. And we have to drop all our ego pettiness, concerns, fears, limitations that we feel. We have to get responsible, do whatever we can about the things we're unhappy about in our life. Stop blaming our parents or the lack of education or the lack of money or the lack of support or the lack of love, whatever, and stop blaming things outside of ourselves and start taking responsibility once we know we are God. We can't get caught up in these limitations. We're here to perform miracles. We're here to help us, the one I am. We're here to transform this world and everyone on it and bring it back to heaven on earth, as above, so below, right? That's our duty, okay? So your idea of yourself is God's idea of himself. The ideas you accept are automatically manifested in your life. For what God knows, what we say, I am this, he creates. And what you know is created, for you are God. God is consciousness, eternal consciousness, and awareness, and order, and design, and knowledge, and intelligence of perfection and spirit. God is infinite, and God is limitless. Look at this. What is it that we can't do? This is the I am, right? He cannot know himself other than infinity. Only by becoming something finite, he can now know himself as infinity. Thus, God seeks to expand his sense of self by becoming things which he is not. And each thing says, I am this. What you believe yourself to be is what you believe God to be. You put that on yourself. The limitations and lacks that you impose upon yourself, you are imposing upon your God self. No one can possibly believe there is any limitation on God. Thus, the magnificent truth is that there is no limitation on any man, because each man is the I am, God. Through each of us, God attains self-awakening, self-consciousness, self-realization of the miracle-making being known as I am God. And each of us is God incarnate. We are God incarnated. In our lives, we accept the limitations of the flesh and the inhibitions of the ego, and thus we fall short of God consciousness. We ask ourselves where we have come from and where we are going, for we have lost the remembrance of having always been, just as we cannot see that we will always be the I am God. The development of our ego thrusts upon us a precarious duality of mind, a split mind, and we start doubting that which we are. Wherein conscious mind overruns the God mind, and we come to regard ourselves as ego only, instead of the massive universal self which we truly are. How can God possibly be the poor little thing that I am? A man will ask himself, identifying himself with his ego and failing to believe the grand I am that he is. He fails to perceive that he is consciousness only. Free yourself from the bonds of your ego and you will forget the poor little thing that you thought you were, and you will become one with the infinite God, the infinite I am. If you will accept with perfect faith the premise, the thought belief, that all truth is spiritual, if you will discard the promptings of the ego, the illusory, noisy, sensual stimuli of the material world and the little ego, if you will search for revelation at the center of your consciousness, the kingdom of heaven is within you, then the kingdom of heaven will be yours. Letting go of the ego may seem like letting go of life itself, and so it is even as Jesus said, who loses his life shall find it. Let it go. When all this happened, I said, so be it, because I saw this years ago, that they will try and, show that they're helping everyone, and then so many people will lose their homes. And I said, so be it. What you choose for me, I will follow, and I will lead, and I will take that path without any fear, with absolute faith. And if it means I have to lose my home, if it means I have to lose security, doesn't matter. This is not my home. And I know that. He who loses his life shall find it, said Jesus. Illumination, the arrival at God consciousness while in the form is what we're trying to do, guys, right? Perception, true perception that we are God will come to us through meditation. As an experience, it is universally the same. Just like an experience, you might meditate or whatever and get it, but through experience as well, the same, but perhaps has never been as well described as by Edward Carpenter, who said, the brain is still, it does not cease from its natural and joyful activities, but it ceases from that terrified and joyless quest, which was inevitable to it as long as its own existence, its own foundation, its own affiliation to the everlasting being was in question or in doubt. In other words, we lived in fear, right? When that ceases, the man at last lets thought go. He glides below it into the quiet feeling, the quiet sense of his own true identity with the self of other things. We are one of the universe. He glides past the feeling into the very identity itself of God, where a glorious all-consciousness leaves no room for separate self-thoughts or emotions. He leans back in silence on that inner being that bars off for a time every thought, every movement of the mind, every impulse to action, or whatever in the faintest degree may stand between him and that God. And so there comes to him a sense of absolute repose, a consciousness of immense and universal power, such as completely transforms the world for him. All life is completely changed in that moment. He becomes the master of his fate. He perceives that all things are hurrying to perform his will, and whatever in that region of inner life he may condescend to desire, that already is shaping itself to utterance and expression in the outer world about him. In other words, he's become the miracle maker. And that is us. That is who we are. Let go of all fear. It's simple. It's really simple. Practice love and harmlessness. Hurt no one. In other words, don't react. Think carefully before you do anything. And then let go of all fear and act from the selfless, absolute faith of I am God. In such a manner does a man come to the realization that he himself is God. We are the I am. In such a manner does he learn to turn his attention from the material world and originate all things on the plane of the mind. Mind is a master. Remember, we learned in the first 4 chapters, or in chapter 2 on illusion, illusory thought, and on chapter 3 on the mind, we learned that mind is your conscious mind is the master, and the servant is your subconscious mind, your God self. The God self is waiting to serve you. The mind chooses freely. You have free choice. And you're coming from what you're not. You're learning what you're not to what you are. And once you know that, perform your miracles. Start imagining everything that you want to happen. We're going to be better off with a lot of money, guys, because the governments are making us reliable on them, and they're going to pull the rug out from under you. So you have to get financially independent. Start visualizing that money comes to you. How it comes, we don't have to figure that part out. The how and the when doesn't matter. Just visualize all these hundreds, piles of $100 notes. Visualize your bank account with all these zeros. You go into your phone and your bank account is like, oh my God. Visualize you're able to buy things, whatever you want. Visualize you're able to help the world wherever you want to. Do you understand? Visualize you're able to help the family pay off their mortgages so they don't have to lose their homes. Do you understand, guys? You are the I am. Create your miracles. Visualize them, know them, believe them, walk forward. Do you understand? Let's step up now. We have to be the miracle makers. And we already are that. But we have to start practicing that, right? When you're a doctor, you're going to apply for a job to be a doctor. And then you go to work, your first day, what do? Act like a doctor, right? And you start leaning on what you've learned and perform. If I am God, when I say I am, it's everyone and everything. If I am God, I am a miracle maker. Do you understand? Forward. Miracles. All right? So in such a way, knowing we are the I am God, we learn to turn our attention from the material world and originate all our thoughts on the plane of our mind. We choose by choosing to ask our God mind what we want. How we're going to do it? We visualize end outcome, and we know it, and we act like we already have it. Okay? We know how to do it. Look at this. Look how it all came together and I came across the Never God's work and pulled it together into 3 magic words. And we had a whole year to train and prepare for this time in the world, right? Can you imagine what we'd be if we hadn't done this? So, yeah, living in fear, like a lot of people are. We now have to be the example for those people, okay? So, there is only one consciousness, guys, in all things. And the powers that are causing a lot of fear in the world, they're using that God consciousness to create the fear. Because they can. They can if they want to. And they know that if they can make us, the whole world, be fearful, they can fulfill their plan. But, yeah, but we are awake, guys. So, there's only one consciousness which assumes countless forms in search of an ever greater knowledge about itself. So we need those people that are creating fear in the world to know ourselves, right? Because now we're going to perform the miracles. We're going to know ourselves. So the infinite self becomes the finite self, the thing, the being. And the one day, and the day when the finite self recognizes itself as infinite self is the day that exposes eternity. And we have to do that while in the form. This little hour, this little life that we have, where we are focused now here, is but an instant in the eons of our being. We are that very power that constructed the heavens. Do you understand? I am that. I am. That I am constructed the heavens and the earth. And when we have cast out the ego completely and the limitations of our ego thinking and the multi-dimensioned heavens, the multi-dimensioned heavens are revealed to be in our very own souls. So I'll read that again. We are that very power that constructed the heavens. We, the I am, are the very power that constructed the heavens and the earth. And when we cast out the ego, how do we cast it out? Being fearless, being courageous, choosing the outcomes we want, being God. When we cast out the ego, when we be the light, when we be love, when we be fearless and limitless and courageous, and the limitations of our thinking, the multi-dimensioned heavens are revealed to be inside our very own souls. We have looked in the mountains and he was not there. We have looked on the plain and he has not been there. We have searched the seas and the air and the earth and the sky, and he, God, has not been there. How should we find God? When we looked outside ourselves, he dwelt always within us, was in truth our very self. But what thing dost thou now, looking Godward, to cry, I am, I, thou art thou. I am low, thou art high. I am thou, whom thou seekest to find him. Find thou but thyself. Thou art I. Algernon Swinburne. Lock and key. The lock that bars us from the recognition that we are this I am energy known as God is a creation of our own ego in our mind. In the first memories and inhibitions of our conscious mind, we created our ego. This is our lock. It locks us from the bar of our infinite self and bars us from our infinite self. This lock may be undone immediately, instantly, through the awareness of the I am. Taking unto ourselves universal consciousness, waking up to this truth. The best way to wake up is to master, to put it into practice. You master, right? So, taking unto ourselves universal consciousness, God consciousness, through arrival at the spiritual kingdom of heaven within us. And the key that unlooses all power is the revelation that each man is God, is the I am. Mind is consciousness, is intelligence, and there is only one mind, which is the mind of God. All things are made from it, and ideas are manifested into form. As ideas change, so does form, so does what we manifest. But the spirit never, ever, ever changes. It is limitless. It is one. It is changeless. It is infinite. Universal subconscious mind, the I am, God, creates in the physical world those ideas that your conscious mind is free to choose. It adapts a belief and it chooses. We create evil by our false thinking. So what is going on in the world is our fears. We have helped create it. They are implanting the seed, and through our fear, we're all collectively creating it. So, we create evil in our world by false thinking. by ideas of lack, fear, limitation, pain, sorrow, and disease. Such evil is illusion. It is not real because it proceeds from the errors of your conscious mind, known as sin, wrong thought, and may be banished by donning the mantle of your immortal self at the center of consciousness, the kingdom of heaven. A man adds all things unto himself by taking a position with impregnable faith. Look at that, impregnable. You impregnate with belief. Isn't that what Nebuchadnezzar says? You visualize it, and then you impregnate it with your belief. You see the end outcome. Faith moves God and mind to creation, but it is only the ego that must use faith. When the ego goes and God consciousness comes, thought is immediately followed by the thing. The thing is God. Love. Only good can come. For there remains nothing to overcome anymore. Do you get that? I'm going to read it again. A man adds all things unto himself by taking a position with impregnable faith. So when we believe, we move mountains, we create things, right? We impregnate the vision. Faith moves universal mind, God, to creation, your belief. So if you have a fearful belief, you're going to move God into creation for you, right? But it is only the ego that must use faith. When the ego goes, doesn't exist anymore, in other words, you've awoken, and God consciousness comes, in other words, you've woken up, you have no more fear. Huh? It might pop into your mind something negative, you throw it out, right? Thought is immediately what you're visioning and feeling, followed by the thing you are now, because you got rid of the ego. For there remains nothing now to overcome. So the miracles will just pour out. All conceptions of limitation and lack and guilt and pain and shame and remorse are cast out with your ego. Nothing but God remains. And whatever God knows is created, only good. We are trapped into our lives the physical manifestation of the thoughts that we think. And in order to attract good, heaven on earth, instead of evil, we must learn to control our thinking and our feeling, to think positively instead of negatively, to feel abundantly. We must be able to choose carefully good thoughts. If a man thinks only in response to the stimuli of the outer world around you, all those messages that are coming to us about what's going on in the world with the coronavirus, okay? If man thinks only in response to all of this stimuli of the outer world, he remains ego only, an automaton, a robot, reactive. But when he originates thought at the center of his consciousness, the I am God, he creates his own life in the image of his desires and dons the mantle of immortal self. And God gives us the desires of our heart. This is what is said in the Bible. We are meant to live heaven on earth, and we are meant to love one another. That's what God said. And at the end of that beautiful movie, you'll hear Jesus say, and now I give you another commandment. Love one another as I have loved you. And this is the truth of life. So keep it simple. Practice love and harmlessness and have no fear. And then visualize the end outcomes you want. I want you to visualize that you have plenty of money. Because you're better off rich than poor. And with plenty of money, You're going to be responsible for your own life and that of your family, your friends, and humanity. We can help, okay? And then I want you to visualize whatever else you want to visualize for your life, okay? As you're coming from the I am God, I am love, I am light, okay? Visualize whatever that you want for your life and be happy. Jesus gives us the size of our heart and wants us to be happy. Whoever told you that is bad is putting guilt into you. Guilt is not known in the I am world. It is a quality of the ego. Guilt is a sinful, it's a wrong thought, right? And when Jesus said to the Pharisees in the movie, The Gospel of John, when he said to the Pharisees, you will die in your sins. I am not this world, of this world. I am from above. You are from below. You will die in your sins. I won't. I'm going home to the Father. You hear it in the Gospel of John. What he was saying in that statement is not that they're condemned to hell forever. Because remember, without them, God wouldn't know himself. Right? We needed them to kill him, put him on a cross, condemn him. What he was saying is, because you're not getting it, you're not hearing me, God sent me to you. The scrolls that you hold and you live by, you falsely live by, you say you live by this testament of Moses that handed you the truth, right? From a mountaintop. You don't live by that truth. You make up your own ego rules. But you say you worship Moses. If you worship Moses, you would believe me, Jesus, because Moses spoke about me in those scrolls. He told you I was coming. He told you God was sending me. And you would believe me. And you would love me. Instead you condemn me and you want to kill me. You will die in your sins. What he meant was you've got wrong forward. You're not listening to the truth. And therefore when you die, you will die to your ego and you will have to reincarnate again. Do you understand? That's all. And that evilness kept reincarnating. A lot of what we're seeing in the world. But that's okay because this is what we need to know ourselves. It's all right. Don't be fearful. It won't touch us. It can't touch us. We know the truth. So we cause it away from us. We do not need to go through the furnaces of hell. You know how it says in the Bible, and then God talks about, and even in this book, the furnaces of hell. That's those egos that need to be purified. They're going to go through the furnaces of hell in life. Because they won't listen to truth. But that's okay. We have compassion for all. We're awakening. Without them, we won't know who we are. Remember, we've gone through our own furnaces in past lives. How do you think we're here now, able to hear this? You know, we were lost to truth and we suffered. And we eventually, through incarnations, we took on the mantle of God. We took on the mantle of truth, and that's why we can hear this. And we're choosing our thoughts, and we're choosing our actions, and we're choosing to love, and we're choosing to be courageous and loving and limitless. And, you know, we're choosing to be the light and to keep shining the light. So that's the end of the book, 3 Magic Words. We've just read the chapter on the key, which is the 3 magic words. I am God. I am love. I am God. And this is a now who we need to action. Right? I am God. So whenever you say, you know, something that you do for a living and you say, you know, I'm a nurse or I'm, You say first, I am God. I am God. And I want you to say that all day long, you know. That's your mantra from now on. It's your mantra. I am God.
It's funny you say that. Yesterday, I just started all day. I was just saying, what do you say? I am God and God is in me. Just yesterday. Yeah. And now you're saying that we should say it every day. And I was like, wow, just yesterday it came to me. I felt, I just felt it's time to say it.
The Father is in me and I'm in the Father.
Yeah.
I am God.
Yeah. Saying that all day.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
And there's no fear in that. There's nothing to fear. And when you listen to the video I sent you by this lovely man, I think his name is Rowan or something like that, and Rowan David, and he talks about, you know, not having the fear, and that also that the virus isn't. It's what I got as well, isn't that bad? But and the elderly are the ones that probably, you know, struggle with it. The thing is, be the I am, see the outcome you want. Don't limit it to what you've heard. Get rid of all that. And anyone that messages you on Messenger, tell them to stop doing that. And why? In a nice way, you know? And send them any positive ones that you have, like that one. And encourage people to only understand the truth, you know, share the truth of who we are. All right, so I thank you all. We'll get together next week. We run 7 weeks, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to sum up the 6 weeks and the 12 chapters, and then we'll conclude. Okay? Wonderful. Bye everyone, love you. I'm God.